The broadcast is live.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Funny Shrink Podcast. I am so excited to be here. Frank, one thing I notice is we can't get our outfits right. The weeks you dress up, I dress down. The week you dress up, I dress down.
Yeah,
So,
I was afraid if I wore my jacket and tie, that make you look like a bum. So I thought I'll wear my duckwear.
oh, that's a Ducks shirt? I thought it was a Dick's shirt. Duh,
Oh, yeah.
that's
Oregon Ducks.
more appropriate. I like it. We have someone who is a very funny comic today coming to the funnyshrink.com, the Funny Shrink podcast. I am so excited to have her here. She is amazing. Her name is Dara Jemmott, and she just left the studio then came back on. I'm so glad because I was worried. So everybody, welcome Dara Jemmott. Dara.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Dara.
How
Dara,
are you?
this is Frank Dara.
Nice to meet you, Dara.
It is so nice to meet you, Frank. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for having me. I did leave for a second. I was trying to make sure that my lens was clean, and then I left the screen, and then it left I was like, ah! But we made it work.
Your is beautiful, as are you.
Thank you.
So thank you for coming on. What's going on with you? I see you're doing a lot of shows lately.
I am. I'm starting to come out of the house as safely as possible. Getting out of the house induces a massive amount of anxiety, and getting on the train is like a no-go. If I can walk to the show, I'm totally with that, because I've been on the train and it's not a fun experience. So if it's outside, rooftops, parks, streets, and people can be safe and socially distanced, and we can wipe off mics, then yes, I'm back at those shows.
There you go. You know, a few years ago, I did a show. I started doing a show in Bryan Square Park for homeless people, and it was a lot of fun. I was ahead of the curve.
Yeah, you are. Because that's exactly what the shows look like. I did one in the middle of the street on Fulton. I did one on the Black Lives Matter mural, and there were people just sitting in the street. And I was like, this looks familiar. It could be like a music festival. It could be a homeless person. Who knows? We're just in the street together.
Fiction ban and the foreclosure ban fell off yesterday. And the $600 a week federal, pandemic unemployment, whatever, fell off yesterday. So I think we're going to do a lot of shows for the homeless here shortly.
Very true. This is like one of those times where I'm so happy that procrastination worked in my favor, because I didn't put in for unemployment until much later in pandemic. So I've been approved. I just haven't gotten it yet. So like I'm at go time now with new money. So happy about that.
You're rich.
Yes. Soon. Not yet.
So,
still waiting.
Why don't you tell us, like, I know you a little bit and I love your story. Tell us about how you got into comedy.
Oh, that's a fun one. So I was working in fashion. I was working in product development for a fashion company for many years. And I always knew that wasn't necessarily what I wanted to do, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I was on a date with a gentleman one day. It was Malcolm X's birthday. I remember this because we went to an event in celebration of his life. And I mentioned this because I was sitting next to my date's grandmother and sitting next to my date's grandmother. And this was the first date. Okay.
Wow.
Yes. Sitting next to my date's grandmother are Malcolm X's 4 daughters. So I'm creating context for you where this wasn't the place where I was going to, really rev up the Dara, we're going to be as respectful as possible. We're going to be on our best behavior. We're sitting next to grandma in front of Malcolm X's legacy. Maybe it's time to behave, right? So then he takes me to a job, another time to behave. And then he had been listening. So he was taking me to Mamoon's. So we're walking up McDougal. And we're passing the Grizzly Pear, and someone is barking people inside for a show. And this was before the kitchen was open. And they said, come in for a show. I said, well, we're getting something to eat. And they said, well, you can bring it in. I said, jokingly, because I was not thinking about comedy at this point. I was just messing with the dude. I said, well, if I come back, I'm getting on stage. And then my date turns to the dude and says, no, she's not. She's not funny.
Oh. Oh.
And it's like something just turned on inside of me. It was, you can call me a lot of things, but not funny is not on the list. Okay.
Exactly. And
so here we are now.
You are blowing up. Like, ever since I met you, 3-4 years ago? How old is Wednesday's Comedy Workout? That's 4 years, right?
Yeah, actually the anniversary is today.
Oh, happy anniversary!
Yes, thank you. We are gonna have a mic next week virtually. But yes, it started 2016.
That's when I got back into comedy after my long hiatus. So I love that. Just watching you progress is amazing. Like, you get so much more comfortable each time you're on stage.
Thank you. It really, honestly, without WCW, I don't think that I would have been able to have the amount of progression that I have been able to have. I mean, that's being there every Wednesday. People complain that it's a long mic, and I get it. And I'm also there for the 3 and 4 hours, and I'm never complaining about that, because that's 3 or 4 hours of stage time that I'm working a muscle that's like, once you start lifting the 100-pound weights, the 50s are easy, So if I can host a 4-hour mic, this hour and a half show isn't that bad.
There you go. You speak in Frank's language. He's a professional bodybuilder. So lifting weights is something he knows how to do.
Okay, Frank.
Absolutely correct. What is WCW?
Wednesday's Comedy Workout. It's at Brooklyn House of Comedy. Joanna Briley is the comedy manager. And it happened when a young comic, Nicole Stanley, also known as Nicole Stoll, realized that there was a lack of mics in Brooklyn, where we could go and feel great, because mics almost took me out of the game early. I've been doing comedy since 2014. When I started on a show, so this dude let me bark for a spot, so I started on a show. So when I went to a mic, I was like, what is this? Gross. And I did not want to do, I was like, where are these shows? How do we get on the shows? And they were like, you got to go to the mics to get on the shows. And I was like, no. So just in case anyone was having that feeling in comedy, I wanted to make sure, especially once I started hosting, once it was created with Nicole and Joanna, once I started hosting, I wanted to make sure that that was a space that people did not feel that way. Because it would have sucked if I didn't do this because of a few mics where I felt uncomfortable,
So was your first time on stage that evening when the gentleman said you weren't funny? Did you bring food back?
No, we did go back. And the comedians were doing crowd work. I didn't get on stage that night, but they were doing crowd work, and my responses were funnier than their punchlines. I promise I wasn't heckling. And that was just problematic. Like, I was ruining their setups, and I didn't know what I was doing, but they were asking me questions.
Oh, you are a comedian's wet dream right there.
It was all, I mean, in hindsight, I'm like, oh, what a problem that was. I mean, when the host is laughing at the audience response more than they are the comic, that's the problem. That's not good. So
you were just helping.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a similar experience. A guy named Dan Schickler was on stage. I'd had a couple of drinks, which I normally don't do. And he's good friends with the producer, Steve Odekirk, and who's the other producer? Oh Lord, I can't think of his name. Anyway, big friends with this guy on stage, and I was like you. I wasn't heckling. I was just saying things far funnier than he was saying. So like tagging his jokes, and I was killing from my table. Um, but it Odenkirk did Panda, Kung Fu Panda, and the other guy did Pet Detective with was a producer or director of Pet Detective with Jim Carrey. I think of his name, but anyway, they were all big friends. And since I got molested, he got on stage. Uh, yeah, I never broke into that group of comics, and of course, they've gone
Oh,
on to produce, movies and bad idea, bad idea.
So
I was having a great show, but bad idea.
we have someone in
But
our
Apatow,
chat. We have
Apatow.
someone. We have someone in our chat named Jada Velasquez. She wrote "No second date" with the guy from before.
you know what? It took a few weeks, but once I realized that he had given me this gift, he did invite me for him to cook dinner. And I don't know, that doesn't happen often. So I was like, I'll take this dinner. But then I never saw him again.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there was a second date. Very
There was
gracious.
a second date. Yeah, I know. I feel like once you're presented with choices. When I feel that bubble, I can get very upset about it. That could have been a moment where I just cursed him out on the street and said, "You don't know what you're talking about. I'm funny," and then not have this beautiful journey that I'm on right now, or I can just go and kill stages. So for me, it was like, since I'm going out and killing stages, you've actually given me a gift, so I don't have to harbor anything. Any ill will. I will never promote his name. I will never say out loud, because we don't, fully reward bad behavior. But I am forever thankful for the gift.
Right. Yeah, and my first wife said to me, we need to get divorced since you learned in comedy. We wanted to do it for years. And then she said, I got to tell you though, I've seen your act. You're not that funny. And that was a great gift. It has motivated me for decades. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Because it's like that. I'll show you. Like, this is a revenge that I'm on. I'm out for blood.
So Dara, the question is not have you seen him? The question is if he's ever seen you. Caught you performing somewhere sometime. I just wonder
If he has, I didn't see him in the audience.
You should tag him on stuff you do. Like if you ever get a big deal, you should tag him and be like, "Hey, look at me now," or thank him when you win an Oscar. Thank him for being an asshole.
Maybe, but he'll always be that. Just it'll be like Voldemort, like the name that is not said.
So this is a podcast about mental health and mental health issues and how comedians use that to help them use the funny to help them deal with it. What's your problem, Dara?
Where do you want to start? I wish I had a scroll. It was interesting when I started comedy. It was 4 years after my mom died. And my mom was always one of the biggest cheerleaders in my life. She was always like, you could do whatever you want, and she had me in acting and voiceover. I was actually doing those things when I was young and getting paid at her, like, you can do this. So when I lost that, I lost that cheerleader, and I was really just floating and never realized how much I needed. You don't realize how much you need your mother until you don't have her. And that just started creating so many cracks and foundations that I didn't understand. I didn't know how to even start to put together, because I was very lost. And comedy helped me not only honor all of the things that she saw in me, but it gave me something to actually focus on. It gave me like something to live into. You know, there's a show. You know, I was telling my roommate I was robbed at gunpoint at my storage facility,
Oh wow.
and the first thing I thought about was who's gonna call Caitlin and tell her I can't make the show if this guy shoots me in the face. It wasn't my family. It was, I was so embarrassed when I got home and I looked at my cat. I was like, shit, I would have missed you too, you know? Like,
it really says what our priorities are as comics.
exactly. I told this to my roommate and she's like, but what about, I was like, I mean, yeah, you too. So comedy is just, it allowed me to not only look at the things that are ugly and nasty and that I really don't like about life, that sometimes can just feel like this weight as an empath if I think about it, especially if I think about it all, and especially as someone who deals with anxiety, it gets real interesting.
Yeah.
And writing and being able to flip a thought and make it funny and find the importance and find the like ugly and find a way to say that out loud and get universal agreement,
Right.
that settles a lot of shit for me. So without comedy, I don't know, we're a different Dara. But with comedy, we're able to put those pieces back together of when I had my cheerleader.
Yeah, it's crazy what we joke about as comics. I know I joke about, like, you've heard me joke about my HIV. You've heard me joke about my rape. Like, Frank jokes about suicide. So
Yeah.
we're all messed up people.
Yeah. And you know, I think there's such beauty in being able to find the humor and the laughter in it, you know, because it's all ugly out there.
Right?
And it can be funny too. You know? Like my brother, he is diagnosed bipolar schizophrenic. And we were even talking last night, and I was like, you know, I could be undiagnosed, and he's like, stay undiagnosed. I was like, all right. He's like, it becomes this thing. I'm like, all right. But I've watched him go through the journey, and I was telling him last night how proud I am of him, recognizing that there was something, and he did take drastic measures in order to get the help that he needed, and he did make an attempt on his life. And when we were talking about it, he like drank a bottle of NyQuil, and like I didn't know how to broach that. So I was really happy when he said, yeah, it was the bottle of NyQuil because I just the mess. I just didn't know. And he was like, the planning out, when do you do it? How, so like he was even able to find the humor in his own thing, which made me feel better because that was the first thing I thought about. I was like, NyQuil, dude, just NyQuil. But he needed, huh? Yeah, yeah. Did you chug it? Did you just did you sip it? Did you do it with a friend? Like what? Did you have a sandwich with it too? Yeah, you didn't want a side of pills too? I mean, I'm joking about it, and it's because this happened so many years ago, and it's something that was so painful. And without that happening, I wouldn't have my brother back. I wouldn't actually have my brother who went and got the help that he needed in order for us to have the relationship that we have right now. So
that's beautiful. I think those things are really important, to have those family members you can rely on. I know that's what got me through a lot of people I can depend on. Frank too.
Yeah, oh yeah. And by the way, Dar, the comic now deceased, very funny, named Mike McDonald out of Canada. He used to say there's two kinds of comics: diagnosed, undiagnosed.
Exactly. I'm in the undiagnosed, It's pendulum.
Stay that way.
Yeah, exactly. According to my brother, he's like, stay undiagnosed. I'm like, all right, I got it from the expert.
There you go. So what do you have going on in your life right now? Are you dating anyone? Is it all stand up? Is it
It is all stand up and writing in new capacities, which has been really fun. Um, where I started writing like actual like sketches, not just jumping on someone's sketch, but like actually writing sketches. Um, and then I wrote a pilot for it. That was like one of the first things I did in quarantine. My friend knew someone who had this idea, but they needed a writer, and I wrote it for this production company, and they actually want to cast it and shoot the pilot. So I'm very excited about that. A little nervous because I don't know what shooting in quarantine looks like, but whatever. Um, and then just like a lot of cuddles with my cat. She did not give consent for any of them, but here we are.
hopefully she'll never report you?
Hopefully, I mean, she's really like over it, but you know, I appreciate her.
So what's the script about? Can I ask?
A day in a life of a PA.
Okay. Okay, cool. Cool.
And I assume that's not physician's assistant.
What'd you say?
I assume that's not physician's assistant.
No,
PA.
no.
Yeah.
Production assistant.
Production assistant, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, something else I'm doing is I've started a Zoom love show.
Cool.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be matchmaking people. So if there are any singles out there, slide up in my DMs and I'll send you more info.
Oh.
Because people gotta find love. It's out here and it's there, but you know, everyone's in quarantine. So all the people who were like, 2020 is my year. I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna put myself out there. I'm gonna find my partner. It's gonna be great. They got shut down real early. So like, let's breathe some hope in their life, you know?
It's funny how many people. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. I was gonna say, so people have actually been like, I've been getting a lot of interest because I think people are looking for love and don't know how to find it in pandemic.
Yeah, we all want to be loved. We all want to be loved. I read an article yesterday that there was New York City police broke up a sex party because they were trying to get it done under the guise of quarantine. Like, how crazy is that?
Yeah, so
Wait.
that right. Yeah.
Did they break it up because it was a sex party? No, right? They broke it up because it wasn't following quarantine rules?
Yes, they broke it up because they weren't wearing masks. But I think masks get in the way of blowjobs, really. So,
I mean,
I
you know, you can just pull down chin strap, you know. Right. No?
there's always a workaround.
There's always a workaround, Mike.
Yeah, that brings up the question. If you met somebody on Zoom, able to be physically together at some point? No.
So no, that is completely left up to them. There is absolutely no pressure to meet up in person at all. They have the option at the end if they want to exchange communication, and it's up to them from there. So there's no like, oh, you're gonna go for this date. Nope. If you guys want to send 2 text messages and never talk again, cool. If you want to get married and have a bunch of babies, cool. If you want to have a Corona sex party, whatever. I don't know, whatever your bag is.
So you have a lot of great projects going on. I'm so excited for you.
Thank you. I'm trying to stay as busy as possible. I recognize that this pandemic, this little quarantine situation, if I didn't stay active and hopeful, it would have been real bad. And I'm so, you know, we're talking about like friends and family. If, you know, my roommate, because I lived alone for 8 years. And, you know, when you have the chance to go to a little cave of solitude and you're already not like feeling great, that's dangerous, you know? So being able to have someone who is like, hey, and I'm like, oh yeah, all right, I see it, you know? and just staying focused and all these projects, you know, it just keeps me, all right, yeah, all of this sucks. Yeah, the world is burning, but we didn't start the fire. It was always burning since the world's been turning. What are you going to do to try to like put out the fire a little today, Dara? That's what I try to do every day. That's it.
You're a firefighter.
Firefighter, exactly.
That's awesome. I want to give shout out to John Mew, who sent a couple of messages in the chat. Hey, John. John is from Scotland, right?
Yep.
So
And
cool. Hi, John.
he's trying to work on giving speeches for mental health awareness.
My brother does that.
Does he? That's awesome.
Yeah. He talks to cops about mental health.
That's great because, you know, I've worked in a lot of communities where people with schizophrenia have those problems with the police, and it's really scary because you don't know how to react.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm so happy because then you hear about those cases like Elijah McClain, and it's really important for them to, you know, just have an understanding. So I'm so proud of my brother for doing that. He's been doing that for a few years. So what did John say?
John said, suffering from PTSD and 3 attempted suicides through being on HMS Coventry. I don't know what that is. During the Falklands War. I don't know what that is. When she
It
was.
sounds like he was like, oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
And it sounds like he was in battle. Like,
Yeah, he was
on the front lines.
during the Falklands War on that ship, and it was hit and it sank in 20 minutes.
Wow. Wow. He's used extreme challenges to help him cope with issues and promote mental health awareness.
Yep.
That happened in 1982, he said.
Yep.
So,
What kind of challenges has he done?
I think there's some cross country, you know, like hiking and getting donations by the mile. Sort of extreme. You know how they do walks for charity here. Extreme walks for charity. You know, over mountains and so forth.
Oh my goodness, has he done the walk? What is the one in Spain? The
Camino.
What is it?
Camino. 500-mile Camino. The one the religious.
It's in Compostela de Santiago, and it goes through there, and then it goes like through 3 different countries. It was like the Walk of the Saints, and there's like these like there's a trail. Did he do that?
Has not done that. I've got a friend who's done that 2 or 3 times.
Really? The whole thing?
Yeah. I said, like, dude, buy a car. It's too far.
True.
that reminds me, I once did the AIDS walk, and about halfway through, I hopped in a cab and went to the end. I was tired. I mean, I'm all for supporting AIDS, but I need to rest.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Look, it's fine. It's fine.
So, do you have any other siblings, Sarah, besides your brother that you mentioned? Any other kids in the family? Any other kids in the family?
No, just my brother and I.
Okay.
How is it for him, like being a Black man with mental illness, having to deal with that? How is it for him, like with cops and?
I don't know. You gotta ask him. No. Well, the best answer I can give you is that in 1999, Philip Pinnell was shot 5 times in the back, and it was an incident that happened in my hometown. And what was happening was because these young Black men were driving nice cars that belonged to their parents, they were constantly being accused of stealing these cars. Right. So they were being stopped at rates that were abnormal. And Philip Pinnell was a result of this behavior. It was a routine traffic stop. I'm not sure why he was out of the car, but I'm pretty sure they asked him to get out of the car, and he was definitely shot in the back, and he was unarmed.
Yeah.
So after you hear something like that happening in your own town, and you recognize that Philip Pinnell looks very much like your brother, because they're very much around the same age, And then your brother ends up on the cover of the New York Times because he also has been stopped 5 times within a month by the cops with his friend who has since committed suicide.
Wow.
So, you know, I can't say what it's like for him, but that's what that has looked like for me watching him.
Scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's been since 1999 that, you know, has been weighing.
Right. Well, even before that, I mean, this has been happening in America for.
Oh, I mean, absolutely. But like, you know, and I was very young in 1990. I'm
Right.
saying that's when, you know, my personal experience was
Gotcha.
hit. I was hit with it personally before I even learned about Emmett Till, you know,
Right.
before I learned about like I knew there was a problem before I learned it in school. Ooh, fast bike.
Yeah, that's deep.
Yeah.
John said, I did the SAS selection route for UK Special Forces over 24K with 35K on my back in 5 hours at the age of 61.
Whoa.
Holy shit!
John is
Am I saying that on-
bad ass.
Yep, he is. I'm writing that. You are a badass, John.
Yeah, please tell him I said he is bad ass.
He can hear you. This is live, Dara.
Oh, John, you're bad ass.
And I've been encouraging John, by the way, to start his own podcast in Scotland on, you know, and have guests on talk about mental health, PTSD, suicide prevention.
Absolutely. And I really like what he said about doing these extreme challenges to get, you know, to get one through. I was watching I don't know how much I'm okay. Well, okay. I think Shark Week boxer. Okay, I'll say that. Shark Week boxer, right? Did a challenge. And he was talking about fear and how fear is a part of ego. And it's important to put ourselves in these positions where we can like release out this fear. And I think that those extreme challenges we've been watching in this house, like a lot of Naked and Afraid and a lot of Alone and people putting themselves in these survival situations. And I think it does something for us when we have a feeling of surviving something or accomplishing something, because then it's like, oh, well, I did that. I can do something else. It gives us that thing to live into, you know. It's like it's that sense of accomplishment. It's that sense of like, can I do this? Ugh. And then you do it, and then it's like, wow, you know. And sometimes that's just what a fucking day looks like, you know. Can I do this? I did it. So I love the idea of doing like extreme challenges and like facing fears and using that as a way to kind of heal old trauma. So good on you, John.
I totally agree with you there. Like I'm physically challenged, so everything is an extreme challenge to me.
Oh my, I was telling my roommate about you. I was like, I've never seen him with any assistance. I've seen him just go to the mic, back to the back, like running around. You're running around more than I am sometimes.
In the early 2000s, I did a show at Don't Tell Mamas, and I tripped going up on the stage, and I fell and really hurt myself. And for the next 10 minutes, all I did was riff on that fall. Like, I was so embarrassed, and people were like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I'm an idiot. Basically, I'm a klutz. Like, the disability is an excuse. Really, I'm a klutz."
Oh man, no, you make it work. You make it work.
I'll try. I do what I can. You do a podcast, don't you?
I do.
With Brandy.
Yes, with Brandy Thomas. Yes, Comedians for Hire. We talk to comedians about their side jobs and hustles and what they do to survive in comedy when we like had jobs and comedy.
I I will tell you this. When I quit comedy, I went back to what I did before, which I'm a social worker. I was so upset that I had that degree to fall back on, because if I didn't, I would have just kept on going with comedy because it's all I had. So
Yeah.
I'm all for no day jobs.
It's been a promise that I've made to myself to not go back. Because I have the retail consumer studies degree. We can always go back, but I've made a promise actually with my friend, and a year after we made this promise, her movie came out on Netflix. So I'm just gonna keep trucking.
Oh, that's
But yeah, we said we can't go back to the cubicle. I didn't want to be there to begin with. I watched a bunch of people die around me. I watched my soul slowly escape from every orifice of my body every time I walked in there. And it has not been easy. There are days where it's like, ooh, money. What is that? But I have the closest thing that I've ever had to sanity and happiness at the same time, and I'm not giving that up for you. So I'll be broke if that's what the cost is for a little bit.
I get it.
And one summer when I wasn't working the cruise ships, got a job selling radio and voicing spots, and I had a cubicle. And about halfway through the summer, I said to the only guy there who liked me, "Hey, do you ever have one of those days where you can't decide whether to kill yourself, somebody else, or both?" It's like HR's right there. But yeah, it sucks the soul. It sucks the life out of it.
Yeah.
I admire people who can do it.
Me too. There are people who are built for that life, and I am just not. I see the sea of cubicles, and I get like in office space, and it makes my heart palpitate. It's just I see confinement and staggeredness and regurgitation of thought and being told what to do. That's all I see, and I can't.
Yes, I can't even.
I can't even. You do have a great radio voice, Frank. And my brother also worked on cruise ships. What cruise ship did you work on?
I've worked for Holland America, Princess, Carnival, and Royal Caribbean off and on.
Oh, awesome. I love Royal Caribbean. He worked on Norwegian cruise lines.
Yep, NCL. I never got to do those guys. I did Seabourn and Crystal, which are high-end, $5,000 a week per person, all suites. I got a couple suites on there in my 10-year career, which is just really nice. But mostly Holland America.
Yeah, he always did
Royal Caribbean is one I recommend.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. What did you say?
Oh, I said, yeah. I enjoyed Royal Caribbean. The ships are, it's great for kids. They got water slides and skating rinks and, rock walls and wave pools. And it's an amazing vacation if you got kids.
Yeah, I loved the Royal. I went on 3. My dad used to work with Ford, and they were sponsoring like this event. So I tagged along. It was great.
Awesome. Dara, it was great having you on this show. Is there anything you want to promote? Like you have like 10,000 things going on. So is there like 1 or 2 that you want to say, this is what I want people to go to?
Yes, I can round it down. If people want to follow me, they can follow me at Chocolate Gem. That's chocolate and then JEM, because that's the start of my last name, on Instagram. And if people are looking for love, please send me a message. You can send me a message there, and then I'll send you the information.
Awesome. The information about the Zoom Love Show?
Yeah. Yeah. Not any other information. Don't you just sliding up in my DMs, okay?
Any other final words you have, Dara?
Find what makes you happy and surround yourself with people who support that and you.
Agreed.
Amen.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Frank, would you take us out?
Yes, if you enjoyed the podcast, please rate, review, and subscribe. And tell your friends. If you didn't enjoy the podcast, we hope you got no friends.
Thank you all. Have a great week, and we will see you soon. Take
Thanks,
care.
Bob. See ya.
Awesome. Dara, we're here. Frank left. He had a meeting to go to. Thank you
No worries.
so much for doing this.
Thank you. That was so much fun.
Yeah.
It felt very therapeutic. It was very nice.
Good. That's the hope we're going for. So it was great to see you. I'm gonna try to get on the anniversary show next week, and let me know what's going on in your life more.
I
All
will.
right?
I will. Let's definitely stay in touch. And yes, I want to see your face on Wednesday on the Zoom.
Yep. Bye. Have a good one.
Thank you. You too, love. See you later.
See ya.